Welcome to the Quick Stop F1 podcast. My name is Mario, and you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate it. If you're on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Quick Stop F1 channel. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, make sure to give us those 5 stars, write a review. We've been putting a lot of effort into, I say we, but I've literally done nothing of the heavy lifting. Chris and Tasha have been doing a lot of work on the editing. So definitely recommend you check out the videos. We do want to also, we have our Patreon where we have ad-free episodes, exclusive content, first tips on merch. We do want to congratulate all of the Quick Stop F1 and F1 Quickies award winners. We are back to regular F1 with this Dutch GP in Zandvoort. But we did want to throw it out to our winners one more time. And with me, as always, she doesn't know this yet, but she is getting a fit check picture from me on my next first date because the advice is impeccable. She is the brain, the takes, the vibes, and the most essential member of this podcast. So it's a good thing. It's still weird to podcast with a wall because the only reason I'm here is because we can't have a wall. You know, she needs to talk to somebody. I call her a co-host, but there is literally nothing that she can't do. Welcome, Tasha.
Hello, Mario.
Hello.
Thank you for that introduction. It was lovely.
Absolutely. I think like I took the last episode off and I was like, all right, that's enough. That's enough.
That shocked me. The award show. I was like, oh, okay, just co-host today. All right, I see how it is. It's fine.
I was just trying to keep
Let's
us.
get into it. Let's get to business.
Exactly. I was trying to keep us on track with the time. But right. I like that. At least you expect it now. That's good because
Right.
It's my favorite part of coming up with the show notes is what am I going to say about Tasha? How have you been? How are you doing?
Good. I mean, well, we talked before the show. I definitely am suffering from being old. I was watching I was like laying down watching Quali. Went to roll over to get my phone and I just felt my back start tweaking. And I was like, yo, how do you like imagine trying to just like live your life and you just like do the most normal thing. And now it's like your back is stiff as fuck. Like, that's crazy. That is crazy.
I can't imagine it. Because, I mean,
I always think about that. Like how people get hurt doing like the most, normal things. Like, what do you mean you tweaked your back when you were like rolling over in bed? But that's my journey. That's my story. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
What has worked for me, and I am terrible at it. I should not terrible at it, but I should do it more often. Yeah. But stretching in the morning. Because, man, reaching up to grab like anything and then you hear it's like, I don't want to hear that from my bones.
Right.
I just don't.
We started doing this stick workout. You get like a broomstick or something. And then basically it helps. You can like lift your arms and like, I don't
Tasha,
know. Like,
is this how you get Chris? Is this how you get Chris to do chores?
We do it outside in the yard. Like in the mornings, we'll be out there. We'll be out there like with our little broomsticks, like, like I'm teaching him like karate or something. But it's cool because it's like, I don't know who developed it, but it was like an older guy who developed it and it kept him like very limber and young. So we fell off. We haven't done it for a few months. And now obviously this is the result is that I am now doused in tiger balm and
If anybody has solutions to getting old, let us know in the comments, please.
Let your girl know. Yeah, please.
So I think we are reviewing or qualifying today. Is that what we're doing?
I believe so.
It's been a minute.
I feel rusty. Do you feel rusty?
Right?
It was only a couple of weeks, but I feel like we had like a momentum going, and now we got to rebuild the momentum.
I think the first 3 minutes of the award show.
Yeah,
I am relearning how to speak and podcast as we go. Like I think I was like so awkward in it that it was like, bro forgot how to do the thing. He just got to relearn it.
I felt the same way. I was like, wow, I feel like I never have had a conversation before.
And it's crazy because you and I talk so much. So literally, it's just hitting record and talking. But like, hit record and like, I speak to people good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So anyway, listen to our award show episode.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun with that one, and we will be plugging the crap out of it.
Yeah,
another show that we had, our silly season summer session. Tasha, did anything happen or did much happen in these 3 weeks?
For the amount of like, discussion on like contracts, and the episode basically was preparing people like, these people's contracts are coming up, these people are going to be here, maybe like for all that prep work and like discussion, nothing happened. Like not one single solitary thing.
Literally
not one
nothing.
Contract was signed. Nothing. What happened?
One might
What
say
happened?
It was a very serious season.
Yeah,
nothing silly
right.
about it.
I feel like we were spoiled last year with, like the whole situation between Alpine, McLaren, and Oscar, where he tweeted out like, I definitely am not going to be driving for Alpine next year. Like, we didn't get anything like that. So, I mean, we didn't get anything close to that this year. No. So, yeah, it's definitely like, the level has fallen off a cliff. So, yeah, it's boring.
One thing I saw was David Coulthard on his Instagram put out an application to Red Bull to please let him be the driver for this weekend after what happened in FP1. He was denied though. One other thing that we wanted to talk about really quickly is a lot of conversations with regards to Felipe Massa and him wanting to get his second driver championship not on track like everybody else does it. Man wants to win that championship on the court. Wait, actually, no, I misspoke because that didn't work for him because you have a statute of limitation of 7 years with claiming an award back. So I think his lawyer told him that probably for a really expensive price. And now he wants money because he's been damaged. Tasha, can you imagine being Felipe Massa, the damage that must have done to him?
He got played. Let me just start there. The man got played because Bernie Ecclestone came out and was trying to deflect from Abu Dhabi and was like, well, what about 2008? And remember that? Remember that? So now here we are. This is embarrassing as fuck because like he wasn't thinking about this prior to that. Like he was
but what if he was? Super embarrassing as well. Let it go, bro.
But now that he's, court, they're going to maybe go take this to court or whatever. Now Bernie's backtracking like, well, actually, I don't remember anything. So the main person that's left, I believe the other two have like passed away. The only other person who could like testify about this situation is Bernie. And he's being like, I'm old and senile. I don't remember anything. But he was the one who brought it up. And now Felipe looks absolutely fucking crazy trying to take this to court and get this quote unquote championship back that he never fucking won. It just looks sad. To me, it's just like sad. I'm like, this is what happens when it's like you let the wrong people wind you up and like
too many yes men, too many yes people.
Yeah. And now you've got to pay lawyers. You're going to pay to be a loser again. Like that is just such like a hustling backwards mentality to me.
You won't have respect for the two-time? Tasha, he'd be a two-time.
I don't. Yeah. Well, listen. I'm sorry. I just feel like that's just Don't let people wind you up. Don't fall for the bait. And so many people have fallen for the bait, and now we're going to see how it plays out in court if it goes to court. But I just feel like the process, the fact that it's even gotten to this point, and nobody has pulled him aside and been like, "Look,
maybe don't do this."
Listen, because it also just like looks bad on him, right? Like he's so hyper fixated on this, that he was wronged and all this stuff. And it's just sort of like, I think multiple feelings and things can like coexist at once. But like if you're going to take it to that level of like, taking something to court, I think you need to have like a super ironclad case. Yeah. And I think he doesn't have that. Therefore, it might get embarrassing. And you also work in F1, right? It's not like he's going to win this case or lose this case and never see these people ever again. Like he is in the paddock frequently. He has roles within F1. So it's like, then what? You don't, I don't know.
Nothing about the situation makes anyone look good. From a like human perspective, this guy, I hope this is just like clout is clout. Because if this man is still so hung up, that'd be very sad. The main reason we wanted to bring this up is because Sir Lewis Hamilton has spoken on the matter for the first time. And It was pretty cool. He said to the media when asked about the situation, the lawsuit, etc., and this is a direct quote, I am really just focused on here and now. I'm helping a team get back in the championship race
Right.
and am not really focused on what happened 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Man stays winning the championship and the quotes. Yeesh.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's what I'm saying. You got to let that go. If 15 years later, you're still hung up on that, you got to let it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel I feel for everybody in the situation because it feels like this is like manipulation, like of emotions, you know, like getting somebody that emotional about something that has happened 15 years ago that they're ready to take it really, really far. And then being like, oh, actually, I don't remember anything that happened. And none of this makes, you know, like, that's just messed up to me. So I feel for him in a way, but I also am like, dude, like, you need to look at this from a different perspective of like, why all of a sudden now are you being told that this is worth you pursuing in court? And now when those people who like pushed you to do it are backing out because it's getting real, because I probably imagine they never really expected you to take it to court just to like do what everybody else does, run their mouth in the media about it, you know? Yeah. And now it's possibly going to be litigated. And so I think now that that's happening, now people are backtracking. So to me, it just feels like he was really manipulated in the situation. And yeah, Bernie is Bernie, you know, starting throwing stones and hiding his hand. And that's basically how I feel like this is playing out. So hate to see it.
Embarrassing all around.
Yeah, very much. Very much.
But loved Lewis's quote on it, so I had to.
Yeah, Lewis was like, "This ain't got shit to do with me. I'm sorry. Like, I'm still driving. I'm still racing.
You see me out there in the car going round?
Right.
Please talk about 15 years ago.
Right.
For all of you listening, watching, and if you're doing both of the same, I guess you are. I was going to say Spotify and YouTube at the same time, but you are literally watching and listening at the same time, so that doesn't make any sense. Thank you for being with us. We are going to go into a quick ad break and we're going to do a quick segment of In Case You Missed It, and then we're going to break down what happened in the Dutch GP this weekend. Thank you very much. So, like Tasha and I like to do, if we see really enough news or things that are interesting enough, we do like to just mention them real quick and in sort of In Case You Missed It style. So we gathered some for this weekend before we get into anything with practice and qualifying. So, Tasha, what is the first thing people might have missed this weekend?
So basically, we have Max once again kind of getting like a weird vibe off of him in terms of what he wants to do in F1. And lately, he's been dropping a lot of quotes, most recently talking essentially about loving the gap between himself and the other drivers on the grid. He's just really been enjoying the solo racing, the quiet Sunday drives.
The birds and the brake duct.
You know, yeah, exactly. You know, being one with Mother Nature. So it's just been really interesting. He really intrigues me because, and I want to put this in a way that it's like, I am trying not to like shit on him, right?
Say it.
But I don't understand the concept of being like a championship anything, like athlete of any caliber, and not wanting to compete, right? Like being a solo driver on a grid of 19 other people, it just doesn't sound like you want to race other people. It just sounds like you want to just be off on your own. Is that racing?
Leisurely drive.
Leisurely drive.
Go back home.
And I get it. These tracks are beautiful. They're in beautiful locations.
That's a great point. That is a great point.
You know what I'm saying? There's like beautiful fans everywhere cheering. Yeah. There's like TVs on. Yeah, you know, lots of orange. So it's like I get the ambiance. Like he's enjoying that. But yeah, it's just like such a weird, I don't know. It's just like such a weird commentary of, you know, we're being told like, oh, Max is like this great driver. He has got this great mentality. And like every time he speaks, it kind of chips away at the mentality aspect of it. Of like, it seems like he's scared of something or anxious about what it would be like when he's going to be driving around other people. He also sort of mentioned recently, like, you know, if Red Bull doesn't get the engines right, he's not planning on sticking around because he doesn't want to be in the midfield, which like I get it. Like the midfield is wild back there. We were joking
there in a while too.
Right. We were joking before the show. We're like, that's like being released out of prison, like nobody wants, I'm not going back. Like, I'm not going back to Rikers. Like, hell no. So it's like, you get it.
My Toro Rosso days?
Right.
Solitary out there?
Right.
No. I got the good cell now. So this is where I stay.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, and then of course the other layer of this is, the continuation of the retirement talk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like very interesting. I don't know, like Max intrigues me because I'm just like, do you want to be here? It's like on the one hand, he loves it, or he says that he loves it. But on the other hand, in the very vocal
or he
other
loves
hand,
winning. Or he loves the position he's in right now.
Yeah, but it just seems like he doesn't really want to be there. So I don't know. It's just something to keep an eye on. I've just never heard a 25-year-old talk so much about like retiring and not wanting to compete with other people.
And the 25-year-old, a 25-year-old in his quote unquote prime, 25-year-old in his quote unquote like not quote unquote, the 25-year-old in on top of the sport.
He's at his peak
statistically and on the ranking, not in any other way. It's rare to see like talk of retirement. I think that's something that's super rare to me and talks about mentality. Like I haven't heard LeBron, Kobe, Federer. I haven't heard like I'm kicking
even
ass right
Rafa Nadal. I mean, he's got basically one good foot left, but he's still like not ready to talk retirement. And
that's what I'm saying. Like, they're not gonna be like, and not even now.
Venus Williams still playing. She's 43 years old. Like
imagine Serena, prime Serena, be like, nah, I just want to win. I don't want them to score any points. And now that I'm like at the top, I'm just gonna leave. I'm not really into competition.
To be fair, here's what happened with Serena, because I do know a lot about her career. She did kind of step away from tennis for a minute. She went to school. She became a designer. She actually at some point also learned how to become like a nail tech. She took a break.
That's totally different though.
Yeah. But I think with Max, like the opportunity for him to do that because he's still so young, he could do that. Like I think it feels very black and white. Like I'm either driving or I'm in retirement. But like maybe he could just take a sabbatical. Maybe, travel the world or like
I think
do something else.
Lewis and Alonso are two great examples that like absolutely Max can come back at 33 years old. And like,
I mean, I feel like it would probably be even sooner than that, but it's just sort of like he does sound burned out to me. Like it just isn't something that somebody would say that's in like I think like a healthy mental space. Winning at all costs, like definitely I think can take a toll on you as a person, even though it seems very easy and he's up at the front and he's, minutes ahead of everybody else or whatever. I think still it's just like he talks about it. It's like grueling. The schedule is grueling. It's a lot. And he has been at this since he was he's been in F1 since 17?
His first race. No, I'm not sure.
So he was young. So he's been here for a while. He's had a long career, for a 25-year-old.
These two things are unrelated. I know they're unrelated, but I'm still gonna. Everything you just said, everything he said about competition and everything. He was asked the other day, like, "What's your dream teammate? Like, if former or current, who would be the best teammate?" He said his dad.
He's a fucking lie.
And I'm like, either you've got real trauma, and I am sorry for that. Stockholm syndrome is fucking you up, and I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
Or this man wants to kick his ass.
Because Josh was standing over the cameraman's shoulder when Max said it. That's what it was. He was like standing there like this.
Sorry to Josh for stabbing. We could not get you in Father of the Year.
Yeah,
we wanted to.
There were so many other great nominees. So I mean,
so many other
razor thin margins. Yeah,
almost less than a 10th. Oh, you almost would have been.
Yeah.
No.
So close.
What do we have up? So up next, I wanted to mention this. I think it's pretty cool just because I think it's pretty obvious as well. Like Netherlands has such a lock on public transport and all of it.
Yeah.
So I saw that they actually imposed a car ban during this race weekend to have people come in public transport. And there's a picture roaming around where there is a parking lot of Zandvoort and it is an infestation of bicycles. There are so many bicycles.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That.
The next one is, I guess, Tasha, go ahead, because we did have at least something happen with the contracts.
Wait, where are we? I'm sorry. My brain
well,
is
we
not
have
working.
Haas.
Oh,
So we did have the
Haas.
silly season. Haas did something.
Yes. Haas basically renewed both drivers' contracts
Yeah.
for 2024 season. My only take with that, and it kind of relates to the, Gunther kind of talking about like this potential new teams, basically being against these new teams, saying like, oh, they're not going to bring anything to the sport. They're not bringing value, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you're the team principal of Haas,
Go
right?
off.
And one of your drivers, specifically Kevin Magnussen, has been having the most underwhelming season that he could possibly have. And instead of finding another driver to replace him, the way that you replaced Mick when he wasn't performing, you just re-sign him for 2024. Based off of what? Like, I don't get it. So I am like, I feel like with Haas, like, I do enjoy seeing them make progress, at least like in the qualies, they tend to do really well. But I also just feel like as a team, like they just make the dumbest decisions, and then have the audacity to say, well, a new team wouldn't bring value. And I'm like, pay attention to yourselves. Okay. Like, keep your eye on your own paper, because that's how I feel. Like, if you want to talk about value, like, what value is Kevin Magnussen bringing to your team currently? Not much.
Not much.
Not much.
But honestly,
I mean, they both crashed out, and we'll talk about that later. But I'm just like, you renew contracts, and then these drivers straight up don't deliver. What?
You can say the exact same thing for both of them, because it's like, sure, Nico is doing better than Magnussen, but we've had Nico before, and Nico has a record that he says it's a positive one, but like definition of insanity,
right?
When you pull in the same stuff and and Haas has been saying, no, we're going to be better. We're going to be better.
They're putting the mid in midfield. That's all I'll say. We'll just leave it like that. Yeah.
It's so bad. It's so bad. Another little tidbit that happened this weekend was pretty interesting. George Russell in an interview, and these are all direct quotes. I'm not putting any words in George Russell. He was interviewed about what his expectations for this weekend are. So this was on Friday. And he said he likes his race pace, but he's been disappointed with his qualifying in recent races. So he said that things we've done with the car perhaps helps the race, but compromises qualifying too much. So we're coming into with fresh eyes this weekend and a slightly different approach. So it looks like, or it doesn't look like that he said it. Mercedes puts a lot of the settings and a lot of the attention into the car's race performance.
Right.
Tell me if you forgot as well, but I forgot completely. And I think this is an indication of like, there's definitely something up with qualifying settings for George Russell. They used to call him Mr. Saturday.
Yeah.
In Williams. And he earned that.
Yeah. And I mean, the first half of last season also, basically qualifying was basically his strong suit. So
at that point, like, it makes you think that, this is not just any driver saying that. It's a driver that has proven himself in qualifying. Similar to Leclerc. If Leclerc says there's something that we're not doing right in qualifying, you kind of take that as an important comment, because Leclerc has it during one lap. So, we're not going to spoil it yet, but excited to see how the approach works for George.
Yeah, I mean, especially in his position, there's no harm in experimenting. So if you want to set the car up for quali and take your chances in the race, I mean, I think this race is probably going to be the one where you could do that, just based off of the amount of red flags that are potentially going to occur. So there's some strategy, and George is really good at strategizing, especially when it comes to like the safety car scenarios. So yeah, I think if you can experiment at any point, I guess it would be this track. So
plus you're back from a break. You probably it probably is a good time to try something new. Like why try what you were trying before the break and then deviate from it? You might as well come in with something new. Last one.
The drivers are falling apart. They're falling apart. The girls had summer vacation. They came back. Charles Leclerc has an ear infection, which I don't know.
Where was he swimming?
Oh, I don't know. Where was he swimming?
I don't know. Where do you think he was swimming?
I mean, they look like they were swimming everywhere. Like, I can't remember where his vacation was, but they were like yachting and on the beach, like having, a blast. They were living their best lives. Yeah.
Crazy. The audacity.
But I just don't know how you drive a car. You know, the ear infection was so bad that he actually drove from Monaco to Zandvoort for the race. So he couldn't even fly. And I'm like, how are you going to drive a car with an ear infection? I can barely walk in a straight line with an ear infection. Yeah. So I think stuff like that is interesting. The drivers are like, oh, no, I'm fine. Like, you know, we also have Lance Stroll, who's also had some sort of an infection. He came with like his neck bandaged.
It was very odd.
There was a meme or a tweet that somebody like compared it to like a Vincent van Gogh, like his self-portrait painting where he cut off his ear and then bandaged it back up. So I was like, that's kind of funny, life imitating art in the Netherlands. But yeah, and same thing. Like, how are you driving?
Bottas' next helmet.
Right.
Next helmet.
I'm surprised he didn't do that actually, or like somebody didn't pay homage to Van Gogh and like I don't know. That would have been cool. But yeah, so I'm just like, how are y'all falling apart? Like, this is crazy. You know, you're just on a break. You're supposed to be refreshed and coming back like ready to go, and you're, you know, have infections everywhere. So
ear infections are one of the most most common symptoms is like you mentioned is like you lose your balance.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can't walk a straight line. Imagine driving an F1 car.
Right. All the like G-force and the, you know, everything. All those forces that's too much.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So with all this said, let's move on to this weekend. We took some notes during practice. We'll go through those and qualifying as well. As far as track information, really the two things I noted to mention was the race is going to be 72 laps. And then currently someone by the name of Sir Lewis Hamilton has the lap record for this track. He set it in 2020. Mm-hmm. So those are just two track tidbits. And then FP1. What did you see in FP1 you want to mention or talk about?
I'm going to be really honest. I don't remember FP1. I really was halfway asleep. Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. It was just like weird to me. Like, I just felt like it was like kind of weird session. I mean, obviously it's the first session back from breaks. Everybody's sort of feeling out the cars. You did have at Ferrari, they brought in Schwartzman for in exchange for Sainz to run some practice laps. But yeah, I don't know. Nothing notable for me for FP1. What about you?
With the Schwartzman thing, I was going to be very like, I was going to try to start something. And I was like, what? Wait, Carlos Sainz? Why not Charles? Why are we taking a practice from?
I think they choose. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Then I went into it and I read it, and it's like each driver gives up an FP1. So this was Carlos, and in the future it's Charles. But I'm still going to start something because Charles gives up FP1 in Abu Dhabi, which is
he waits till the last
final race of the season. So they're like, Charles gets everything until the very end, until we know that he doesn't even need that FP1. That's me trying to start something. In FP1 as well, Lance Stroll was taken out early on. He gets a radio from his team saying, you got to retire. You got to come back to the pit immediately. And Lance Stroll gave them the very insightful comment of, there's a weird sound going on with my car. No, a funny sound coming from my car. And I'm like, we are the same. I go to the mechanic and I'm like, it's like some rattling in the back.
There's some knocking sound. Yeah, I don't know. I
have no idea. Then we come into, Tasha, we should have rock, paper, scissors for who's going to say the bad news.
Oh, do you want to say the bad
news? FP2 comes in.
FP2 comes in.
I'm just going to say, all right, I'm not going to say the news. I'm going to say you hate to see this for the first annual Quickies Award winner. You hate to see it. You hate to see it.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I feel like you can't really have luck like this. Like, this is bad. Daniel Ricciardo, who we just got back off of unemployment, has broken a part of his palm. I can't remember what the name of the bone is called, but it's just
I didn't even care.
It's in his hand.
Arm? Okay.
No, it's in his palm, the palm of his hand.
Oh, really?
So essentially, so there was a crash. Oscar Piastri crashed, and then to basically avoid hitting Oscar on the turn, Daniel basically turns into the wall. And because he didn't let go of his steering wheel when the impact happened, it basically it broke part of his hand. And he gets out of the car and he's like holding his wrist. Like, we don't know what's wrong. He goes to the medical center. But long story short, he just actually today is in Barcelona to get surgery by the same surgeon that worked on Lance Stroll's wrists earlier in the season, who had him racing within 12 days of surgery. So
is he going to be in the race on Sunday?
That would be fucking crazy. But honestly, the way that these guys like soldier on through these injuries, maybe, who fucking knows? But I thought that was interesting. Like, what are the odds as a surgeon that you are working on 2 F1 drivers in the span of like, 6 months roughly? Like, I know he works, I think, on MotoGP racers typically. So he's familiar with these athletes, but it's just interesting that it's 2 F1 drivers back to back that are scheduling surgeries with him for hand injuries. So yeah.
I did not know that it was the same one as Lance. And now I love they shot like Danny and Lance having a talk.
Yeah.
And Danny with his arm broken. And now I think Lance was like, dude.
Yeah, he was like, I got a referral for you. Yeah, exactly.
Doctor ever. Make sure you use my code so that I get a 10% discount next time. You need to... if you don't put me on the referral section, Danny, it's over. Okay?
Right. So now as a result of Danny's injury, he's not racing. And so without the surgery, but before that, what they were saying was that it would take 8 to 12 weeks potentially for him to heal. So we don't know after the surgery what that will look like, but 8 to 12 weeks. So we have Liam Lawson, who was promoted to actually drive in his place. So finally, Liam Lawson has a seat in F1. It is at the expense of Daniel Ricciardo's hand, but, a win's a win. The man is in a seat, so there's that. But I thought this stat was absolutely fucking crazy for AlphaTauri, which is they have had more drivers than points this season. 4 drivers, 3 points.
No, you misspoke.
That's a dumb
You read it wrong.
stat.
Stop. What?
So, yeah, that's what's happening over in AlphaTauri.
What do you mean? How many points do they have?
3, just 3. And Yuki has all 3 of them. Yuki's the only man standing like that. He's like, who else am I going to drive against this season? Like,
Yuki
what else do I have to beat to prove that I am that guy? Like, yeah, so it's, yeah.
Yuki goes into the CEO office. Are you not entertained?
You're right. Exactly.
Like, what more do you want?
Right. So that's wild to me. Grand opening, grand closing for Daniel Ricciardo.
I'm gonna make it even
we'll
sadder.
See what happens. Yeah.
The storyline at the start of the summer session of the summer break was like all drivers are out enjoying themselves. Daniel is in the gym.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Changed man. He's a changed man.
But then he breaks his arm.
Yeah. That's what I said. Remember, you could just be living life, and next thing you know, you're getting surgery.
You're absolutely
and
right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And
only difference is I could put Tiger Balm on mine. So that's the sponsor of today's episode, bud.
Tiger Balm. We're trying to work our way up to icy hot because I need it. Because I need the icy hot.
Yeah.
So I am familiar with this geopolitical situation that look, I know for a fact that Australia and New Zealand have an issue with each other. And I am curious. 2 Australians in an accident, and Danny's like, I was either hit the barrier or hit Oscar.
Right.
I would check if New Zealand cut a check. That's all I'm saying. Maybe New Zealand cut the check. 2 Australians out. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have enough money to cut the check during the race, but they did it in FP2.
Close enough.
I should be more serious about these things. FP3 came along, and this is, like you mentioned, Liam Lawson comes in for Danny Rick, and this is where his first session. Danny Rick is replaced basically by FP3. Liam Lawson drove the session. Any notes on the FP3 session?
Honestly, another session that I fell asleep on. There was just so many red flags. More red flags than a man from Atlanta trying to be your baby daddy. Like, that's all I will say about that. Like,
did you pull that out? What?
It was a lot of red flags. Okay, so I just fell asleep. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I don't have time for this. I'm going to bed. It was also 5:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. So I was like, this is not for me. So yeah, I went to bed. Sorry, Mario. Yes, just pulled that out of my ass.
My red flag is I'm 34 and single. So
Oh my
weather was
God.
a factor during FP3. We had a lot of red flags. But let's get into the good stuff. Qualifying. We had a session of qualifying today. I actually remember how to do this time. So for qualifying one, the drivers that were eliminated, and this is from 16th to 20th, we have Joe Guan Yu, Esteban Ocon, Kevin Magnussen, Valtteri Bottas, and Liam Lawson. Your thoughts on Q1?
Well, for me as like Mercedes fan,
Not us.
yeah. It was it was one of those sessions where I was like, like sometimes you could feel like, the impending doom coming or the impending doom like coming.
Tasha,
like,
if you're telling me you can feel vibes, obviously you are the vibes.
Yeah.
Like nobody feels vibes like you do.
I'm in tune with the universe. Yeah.
You saw the vibes coming.
I saw the vibes. Okay, before we get into it, let me ask you this. How do you feel about this track being the comeback from summer break? Because
okay.
Go ahead.
It's just I unless you add more context, my thought on it is it's not a super common track. So I would maybe do an easier one on the return of summer break.
Yeah.
But why do you ask? Is it like
it's just felt like, because like we just talked about with like free practice, like watching those sessions, it just was very start stop. There was lots of weather changes, which, it can be exciting. It can add that layer, but this is now like the 5th race or something where we've had like a rainy weekend. So it just starts to feel a little bit like a downer, I guess. And coming back from 4-week break into a track that's so awkward, the weather is awkward. It's short, lots of traffic. I don't know. It just is not. I don't know if we're gonna get that kind of like banger of a race.
You know what?
That I would want. Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking of it, and this is nothing like against Max. I think of this of any driver. Your return from summer break should not be your home race. I think that's unfair.
Unfair advantage. Yeah.
Because if it was Silverstone, Lando, Lewis, and George are chilling with their families, or like already vacationing there.
Right.
That's my only take. It shouldn't be a home race when you return from summer.
Yeah. So it was just awkward. I guess I can kind of see that. I just wish we could kind of pick something else. Like, it's just weird that every fucking race we go to now is like raining, dude.
Tell them which one you want.
I don't know. We just got to go off of new weather patterns, because where is not raining currently? That's where I would like to have a race in summer. Like, that would be great.
Pop-up race.
Yeah. Right.
We check the weather for next week. That's where you have it.
Right. So to start this session for Q1, it's basically had just finished raining in FP3. Q1, the track is damp. So we're starting on inters. And yeah, you guys already know how that goes. It's sort of like, getting tire temp into the tires is an issue. All 20 drivers are out. So traffic is a huge issue also. Yeah. So we do have it feels perilous for some teams, let's just say. We had some issues later on, but I will say, like, right off the bat, I felt like the McLarens and the Williams both looked really strong. Both Williams actually surprised me to the point where I was like, did they upgrade the car this weekend? Like,
you have to specify it's both, and not
both of them. Yeah, it was Logan and Albon. So I was definitely like really surprised. But then also, again, the McLarens are back in the mix. So back, and they've stayed in the mix. I mean, not backs. I guess it's just more like they've stayed in the mix. So they look really strong. And
I think to your point with the McLarens, like they were doing well before the break. They could have started the summer, like they could have started this race like back in the back again, and it's like, oh, like maybe something didn't work. But it is interesting to see, like, still doing the same they were doing before the break. Yeah. So that
back at it. Yep.
And our boy Oscar.
Oscar.
I like that. I like them both, with the fact that Oscar's always there. The fact that Oscar's always there.
They're like they're like this on the track, like 1 and 2 basically when they're around each other. So I don't know. I really have been like enjoying seeing their performances in the McLaren. We had some impeding going on. We had Alonso impeding Lewis at some point, but no further action was taken for that. We also had Sainz cutting off Piastri when he was coming out of the pit lane.
I gotta say, I gotta say, I'm sorry. I gotta say, hopefully, Oscar will be a better driver one day and get all that experience, so that someday he won't get absolutely fucked by signs, even
Right.
though he is absolutely not to blame, even a fucking little. I think that was on purpose. That is
Yeah. So Carlos says he quote unquote didn't see him. Who
Yeah.
knows? Who's to say? But the thing with Carlos for me is that every session he is impeding somebody. Like, it is not even the first, second, third time that he's done it. Like, it's his whole personality trait at this point. So as a result of that, Carlos gets a reprimand, and Ferrari actually also has to pay a 5,000 euro fine. So that all happened. And then we get some issues kind of toward the middle end of Q1 where it starts a little bit of like drizzle, like rain. Lewis and Charles are both in danger at the bottom of the list. And, oh man, it's just like, you know, by the skin of their teeth, they get out, thankfully. Charles was not happy with his team. I always like when he pops off on the radio. He was cussing them out a little bit because, like, in this case, it was more like the timing. Again, all 20 drivers are on track. So it's just more like, why are you putting me out where basically I'm getting, you know, there's like 3 other cars around me, or, you know, like the timing is bad.
He said, I agree with you 100% because the comment was super productive. It was like, guys, we focus on traffic. That's what we focus on.
Yeah.
You get me in good traffic and we got this. So the priority is traffic. Like, it wasn't just a, you guys are terrible, which they are. It was a very like, clear, this is our task.
Right.
Let us do this.
Right.
Okay?
And being
Which
very
was very
firm, because, you know, he could be very like passive about stuff and like, you know, so yeah, it's like you see the mentality changing with him a little bit of like, yeah, I definitely do need to speak up more for myself because the shit is kind of crazy. But Lewis suffered the same thing, timing issues, just like out of sync really with the rest of the track. So he was very lucky to get through Q1. And my favorite little tidbit from Q1 was Alex Albon topping the timesheet. Like in that Williams, he's
yeah. If you thought we weren't going to mention him, you skip this one. The one thing I did note about Q1 is I am just genuinely, I love the drivers. I'm just genuinely confused by what the Alfa Romeo situation is. It's just if they do well, it's literally fluky. Like it's like they haven't put 3 races together where it's like, okay, they're going somewhere.
Right.
Like, I don't understand what's happening. Like,
me either.
Person that knows nothing says, I guess it's the car because Valtteri has driven a good car and he does well. Joe doesn't seem like he's a bad rookie. Not a bad rookie, but he's in his second year. It doesn't seem like a bad driver.
Right.
So it's got to be the car. And I just don't understand. Like, they seem so irrelevant right now.
Yeah. I mean, they both have a handful of points. So, I mean, they're scoring where necessary. But yeah, to your point, there's not like a string. There has not been a string of races or opportunities that they've been seizing to like do something spectacular or interesting. I wonder if part of that is to do with the fact that Alfa Romeo, I don't know, like the team's going to be like transitioning. Yeah. So I don't know if they're prioritizing upgrading the car or, you know what I mean? I think they're just trying to like finish the season, do well enough. Sucks. Yeah.
Especially when we're talking about, like you talked about earlier, we've talked about in other episodes, where especially when we're talking about these are the people who set the value.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against Alfa Romeo, but a team that seems to have no direction and are cruising to end a season is not a valuable team, in my opinion.
Exactly.
But yeah, I don't know.
We'll
do something. It's like that picture where it's like
with the stick.
Do something, you know, like consistently 19th and 20, so we can say you're crap or like do something.
Yeah.
Q2 comes in.
Yes.
In Q2 we lost, and this is from 11th to 15th. Lance Stroll, Pierre Gasly, Sir Lewis Hamilton, Yuki Tsunoda, and Nico Hulkenberg. Tasha, what do you got for us with Q2?
A mess. Wow.
A mess, yes.
God. Like, I will say on the Lewis thing, I kind of was tweeting about this, like the fact that like it felt like it was coming. Like, I'm not surprised that he's out. I'm annoyed, but yes. Because, you know, it's just like we only can get out by the skin of our teeth so many times. Like, at a certain point, you know, probability starts to kind of become a factor. At some point, one of those is not going to be successful. So that's all I'll say about that for now. I
like that a lot. You like, we have alluded in this podcast.
Yeah.
But because I remember myself saying this a lot, is like, Lewis is a very dramatic qualifier
Mm-hmm.
because it's skin of your teeth type thing. Because it's like he's a
Mm-hmm.
great qualifier. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like if you look at his qualifying this season, a lot of times we're talking about so close, like a little bit less, and he didn't make it. And like at a
Right.
certain point, like you said, you get to that, you're not gonna make it because like you can't make it every time.
Right. It's just not going to work that way. So that happened. We did have some interesting stuff happen. Again, my first note was Sargent's having a really decent session so far, which,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we talked about in our our silly season episode about him just kind of like being so underwhelming this season.
Yep.
So for the first 10 races of the season, and obviously there's pressure on him to an extent to perform. I mean, obviously there's a curve. He's a rookie, so most people are not expecting that much. But I think
Albon is doing
people,
what Albon is doing.
yeah, well, Albon's not a rookie anymore.
No,
but
for
you
sure,
know,
for sure. But like it never helps that
the disparity between the
teammate
two,
is so much better.
yeah, you're right. So I feel like maybe he's trying, and I do feel like we saw that in these first two quali sessions for him, where he just seemed to really be putting the car in a good spot. And I'm like, what did Williams sprinkle on this for brake? Like, it looks good. Piastri also having a great session. Alex Albon having a great session. So, you know, there were some cars and some people that were really like doing the thing. I was really concerned at some point about Ferrari pace. And I think I put this every quali.
It's feeling that way.
Like, what is going on? Like, it just is very strange. It's one of those things, like I always say, where like I look up on the timesheet and I'm like, where is everybody? Like, where's Leclerc? Where's Sainz? So they're kind of struggling. I think, I don't know. Like, it's just interesting seeing their team progression, because it feels like it's, I guess, more like regression. It doesn't feel like it's getting, it just doesn't feel like it's getting better.
Yeah.
And yes,
no, it isn't getting better.
yeah.
It isn't.
It's
Hey.
So they're on a watch. We got to watch them. Like,
And was it not last year that like Leclerc was trying for a championship?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Exactly. So I'm like, why are you in the fucking bottom of the timesheet right now? Now, again, granted, like, still a lot of traffic at this stage in the session, so there are a lot of people who are getting impeded, or like, like just so much traffic that you're having a hard time putting in a lap. But still, like, there is just something that's not clicking with their team. Yeah.
Your point is absolutely right, because like it's not just this race. It's a tendency that's been,
it's a pattern
throughout the season.
Yeah.
The fact that it was very difficult, traffic, but like the fact that I don't know. I think, would you have been at this point? You would have been surprised if Leclerc or Sainz or both were in the top three. No.
Yeah. Well, not Leclerc.
Look.
Well, they're great
Leclerc,
qualifying. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like, they're great at qualifying.
Look at McLaren is up there now in qualifying. Like, obviously Verstappen. Like, we've got these people qualifying to a point consistently where I'm like, I know Leclerc is a great qualifier. Right. But like at this point, I would be surprised if I see a Leclerc or a Sainz top three.
Yeah, because it hasn't happened in so long. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
So consistently in so long, I guess I should say.
We went from this is a thing that happens to not anymore.
Right.
And it was so drastic that it makes no sense.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Anything else that stood out for you for Q2?
I'm watching Checo, and I'm not liking what I'm seeing throughout the sessions. And I just hate to I feel like I keep drilling on the same thing over and over. I feel like it's like every podcast, Mario and Tasha are going to say something about Checo. So I'm not going to.
You got to change how he drive if you don't want us to talk about the same shit. Yeah.
Because I'm so lucky to podcast with you that your vibe feeling is like kind of coming to me a little bit. And I'm like, looking at the vibe with Checo, and I'm like, this doesn't feel right. And then I'm scared to text you and be like, am I feeling the vibes correctly? Because you're going to be like, on this one you are.
Yeah. That's so funny that you said that. My notes were like, Perez, where you at? Like, where are you at? Like, seriously. There was like, I think at some point, like a 1 second gap between him and Max in Q2. Like, where is this coming from? Why are you so far behind your teammate? We talk about all the time, the mentality, there's so many things that it could be going wrong, and maybe it's all going wrong. And he's the representation, the physical representation of all of these things happening, but it still like doesn't help the fact that it just feels like he cannot get any momentum on his side. you know?
Mhm.
So, when you have like Helmut Marko comes out and he's like, yeah, actually now his seat is in jeopardy in 2024. He needs to qualify better. And then he's still a second gap between himself and Max. It's like, you're in danger. Like, you are for real in danger, girl. Like, you are not about to have a seat next year if you keep going like this. So, I'd rather him crash out in some instances,
Honestly.
because then at least we can explain it and be like, okay, well, he choked and like he's in the gravel. But what are you doing being a second behind your teammate? Like, and everything's fine. The car is fine, apparently. Like,
I hope.
what do you do?
I don't hope this happens in a sport, but if Red Bull ends Checo's contract early, if that man doesn't fucking speak up and say that Red Bull
Be the whistleblower that we need.
I'm not saying burn the bridge or anything like that, but put some respect on yourself.
Yeah.
Like, because like you're not putting it on you now.
Yeah.
So if you are in a toxic situation, which we would not be shocked,
Right.
say something about it. And I'm
Blink
not saying burn the
twice
bridge,
if you need us to save you. Like, that's all we're saying.
I'm saying whole ass Mexico will come and save you, Checo.
Right.
Blink.
The Mexican delegation will roll up and I will be
blink.
there filming it on my phone like World Star. Like, please.
For free.
Please.
For free. Like, I'll edit this video for you. Don't you worry.
Absolutely.
Mexico.
Yeah.
We'll provide commentary. We got it. I don't know what else to say about this.
Yeah.
We move on to Q3.
Wait. Sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Last things about Q2 this is obviously the big surprise we just talked about with Lewis. The explanation that he gave for why he wasn't able to finish that lap.
Q3?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
He said, Yep. He said, I did 2 fast laps at the end and the tires overheated, so I couldn't improve my last lap. He also was impeded by Yuki. He missed Q3 by like, I think 800ths of a second or something like that. So it was a very slim margin. And there was very clear impeding by Yuki that, could have just been the difference. So unfortunately for Yuki, he received a 3-place grid penalty for that impeding. So you hate to see it because, Yuki's already fighting for his life as it is, but he was in the way, and that's, how it goes.
This is an example of your point. Yeah. You keep skin of your teeth type thing.
Right.
Something's
Exactly.
Gonna happen. Something's gonna happen to you. And this is literal proof of that. Like if he and this was like a mistake and mistakes happen, but like any little thing can get you off that off the position.
We had no banker lap. He was impeded like 3 or 4 times. Like, it was quite a pattern, but to your point, like,
unfortunate as heck.
And you hate it, but it's like, we'll see what the race does for us tomorrow. So yeah.
Good for Q2?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Goddamn Checo. Q3, this is where we set up the grid. I'll start with just saying the bottom 5. So 6 through 10. Carlos Sainz, Sergio Perez, Oscar Piastri, Charles Leclerc, and Logan Sargent. We'll start there, and then talk about the other
Sarge.
Yeah. Absolutely. Logan Sargent gets invited to the big boy table, and then
welcome. Yeah, this is Logan Sargent's first ever Q3 appearance in Formula One, and it didn't go that great. To start,
or last that long.
Yeah. This for context, the track is pretty much starting to dry up. It's still damp in a lot of places, but it is drying up. So most of the drivers, I think all the drivers, start the session on softs. And unfortunately for Logan, that like last turn was just slick or something happened. He turned off at turn 2 and crashed, hit the barrier. And they spent so much time fixing it and replacing it. So there was like a lot of time in between the crash and when they were able to go again. So the track dried even that much more. And then we restart the session. And then Leclerc crashes at turn 9. And another red flag. So this is the second red flag in the span of 5 minutes of each other or something.
We just got done with the first one. You're giving us.
We just fixed the barriers, sir. Like, come on now. Yeah. So, and this is after he's cussed out his team. So, there's that. So
that's a rough sorry to do that.
Right. Yeah. His engineer was like, that ain't nothing to do with me. Yeah.
Charles, all we needed for you was to drive, Charles. You couldn't
Exactly. Yeah, after that, I mean, it was like basically a 2-minute shootout for pole position. So, Alex Albon was still in the mix. You had Piastri, surprisingly, Norris was in the mix, and then obviously Max. Yeah, Max won. Surprise.
No way, really. Lando put in a
Yeah.
hell of an effort to get second place.
Yeah.
So we like I just said, we had Max number 1, Lando number 2. Definitely want to talk about this because we talked about how George Russell before the qualifying session was talking about him putting emphasis, the team putting emphasis on qualifying a little bit more than racing, and you see George Russell qualified 3rd. So
Yeah.
Tasha, Chris, and I were talking before the show. This is a very interesting thing to see because now the question is, how much did the team sacrifice out of race performance to qualify 3rd?
Right.
So it's
we'll
going
find
to
out.
be very cool to see like how George does in the race.
Yeah.
The man, the myth, the legend, Alexander Albon, number 4, qualified 4th. This is the best qualifying placement for Albon, 4th, but he has done it once before. Tasha, you and I split these 50-50. Let's get this man in a better car.
Yeah. I'll just my savings.
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah. How much is the F1 team anyway? Like a bill?
How much can it be?
Yeah.
How much can it be? I'll tap
How
into
much
the
could it
401k.
be? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Let me tell you, we will provide more value than probably 3 of these teams. Just
for
like,
real.
just like, who the hell are these people? Like you mentioned, Charles Leclerc found the wall right after Logan did. Not right after the session resumed. Just repeating it because the picture is hilarious. There's a picture of Charles
yeah. He was so done. He just basically pulled up like unfolded a lawn chair and just sat trackside and was like, I guess I'll watch the rest of quali from here.
Yeah. I'm not going to be in it. I don't want to go back to my team and say like, oh, I didn't drive well, huh?
Right. That was my bad.
It's good to decompress, you know?
Yeah. Taking the sights. It's a beautiful track, you know? Yeah. So we had Perez, P7, which is, wild to me. But he's 1.3 seconds off of Max at this point.
That's even drasticer to say.
Fucking crazy. It's crazy. So I wanted to read some of these because I'm like, yo, how is he getting dunked on by everybody? Alex Albon has outqualified Perez in 6 out of 13 sessions this year. Lando Norris has also outqualified Perez in 2023 with an 8-5 lead.
And how do we think that's going to keep going with what we're seeing right now with McLaren?
Right. But I mean, and also these cars are not, especially the Williams. Like, how is Perez getting out qualified by? And yes, Alex is doing a great job, but I'm just trying to like make it make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to understand. I'm just trying to understand.
It should not be happening. It should not be happening. There should be a clause on the contract.
Yeah.
If you find yourself behind off, I was thinking AlphaTauri and Red Bull should just drop the bullshit and just Red Bull should just be like, look, this is our team times 2, okay? Like, you guys got us, it's true. And then just rotate the fuck out of those drivers.
Drop the pretense,
Let's just rotate these motherfuckers. Like, Checo lost to an AlphaTauri person goes to Red Bull. Checo goes to AlphaTauri. Fuck you guys. Like, just, come on, out with it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
That would be actually funner to watch than what we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
We saw 13 laps deleted during qualifying. And then anything else specifically on the session of Q3?
No, I mean, it just went by so fast after, the 2 red flags really killed the
After
killed
it
the
didn't
flow.
go by fast at all, it went really fast. Yeah.
It's just like, this is why I be falling asleep on these races.
It's not your fault, Tasha.
It's not my fault.
But you do work very hard, Tasha.
Do I?
Like, you do it all, and that's like, maybe
I
you
was
need
on
to look at your...
4-day Photoshop bender. So yeah, you're right.
I'm saying, I feel terrible. I knew
it's fine.
I knew it. We were talking about the award show. Like the editing was a collab between Chris and Tasha.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, this guy, I can look. I can research the shit and bring in links on links.
You guys,
on links.
I wish you could see our show notes because they were extensive. It's like the Bible of show notes. It was so, but like we all did our role. It was just like The thing with like putting together like graphics and stuff is just that it's time consuming. It's not that like you need help. It's just that like you need four other like, sets of hands to do all of it at one time.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many like pictures. Each category had 3 nominees, and then you've got to it's just a lot. So yeah, it was just like a lot of repetition.
So go watch it, everybody, because they were super hard on that.
Fun.
Go watch it. So I wanted to note, just because I found it interesting when I was looking at the standings, just how teammates qualified compared to each other.
Yeah.
So I think some of these have been happening or are pretty common, but I think others are just interesting to note. Alex Albon in 4th, Logan Sargent in 10th. I think for their dynamic, that's great.
Yeah.
I think Logan Sargent, yes, he didn't last long, but he did make it to Q3, and he is in a Williams. And this is the first weekend that I've been hearing so much like his seat is in danger.
Right.
So there's that. Alonso 5th and Stroll 11th. Stroll is another, not like Alfa Romeo, but like another like do something kind of vibe to me.
Yeah.
It's time for you to actually be closer to Alonso,
just
or
do
it's time for
something.
you to just like not.
Piss or get off the pot. Like that's pretty much, that's it. Make something happen. Yeah.
So how is Stroll going to be equal to Alonso at this point, huh? Next up, question. And I am completely talking off base here. I haven't checked it, but I'm fairly comfortable saying it feels like Gasly is starting to get a better feel of the car than Esteban. Esteban has been, I guess, all the stuff that's been happening with firings and stuff like that with Alpine might be a factor, but Ocon's been in that team for a long time. Gasly has not. We have Gasly in 12th. We have Esteban in 17th. And although Ocon did have his Monaco podium, it does feel like these two are a lot closer than it did at the start of this season.
Yeah, I agree.
Lewis in 13th and George in 3rd. What does that tell you? Specifically, maybe this race or this season, you see that, and do you just think unfortunate for the traffic and what happened to Lewis, or do you get something from that?
I mean, I think I don't really see it reflecting so much on Lewis, although if he were to tell it, he probably was something that he did or didn't do. But I would say it's more like indicative of like just the team, the strategy, because this has also happened to George at other races as well, where like they're putting them in weird positions or awkward positions where like they're in traffic or they're around each other, or like there's just certain stuff that like is on the strategist. So it tells me that the team is still just like not fully like they're not in it, or it's just not clicking. Something is just
still
like
figuring things out,
which is crazy because I'm like, dude, like what is left to figure out after all that's been happening and going on? Like at what point do we actually get into gear? Like you have Lewis out here saying like I'm ready to fight for wins and championships and stuff like that, and then his team is like putting him in the middle of traffic for quali and we can't even get out of Q2. So I think it less so reflects the drivers, George or Lewis, and more so just on like the team, because this feels like a Mercedes disaster class brewing to me. Like if we can't even get out of quali, like either tomorrow you guys are gonna make up for that and really like be on it in every other way, or it's gonna be like every other race where it's like questionable things happen and therefore it piles up and we all end up frustrated at the end of the day. So yeah.
Only thing I'll add to that is Lewis did say specifically that George was on one set of settings and Lewis was on a different one.
Yeah.
Like, but good. Yeah, you said it perfectly. Lando 2nd, Oscar 8th. I love Oscar.
Yeah.
Oscar be close.
Me too.
Always so close. Max in 1st, Checo in 7th. I'm not gonna say shit about that anymore. With that, unless any last notes on qualifying, Tasha? Anything you want to add?
No, I think we're good. I think I'm ready to see what tomorrow brings. Yeah.
But before that, we will go for a quick break and we will break down our predictions and your predictions. Stay tuned. So let's wrap this thing up. As always, you can find us on socials. You can tweet at us, whatever your predictions are, whether it's for qualifying, whether it's for racing, any comments, etc. Tasha tweeted out to get some race predictions, and we've got two submittals, two great, or we chose two of them. Tasha, you go first.
All right, I'm gonna read Dudstar's tweet because this cracks me up. Her prediction is Max, Lando, and George Russell. She says, hopefully Lewis makes up places. We will see Merck's strategy in pit stops. However, it is the emoji, the nicknames that are sending me to the moon. It is a devil emoji, no wins, and Woody. So like why are we like
tier.
this? Yeah,
that's top tier right there. That's the kind of unseriousness we like to see.
Right. Not the monster emoji is sending me. Oh my
no
God.
wins and Woody. I never correct me. Is it Silky?
She's gonna have to correct us,
right?
Or Silka?
Or Silka?
She'll have to let us know.
Let us know, and we'll get this right next time. Promise. She said, all the mess aside, crying emojis. We relatable. She just wants good things to happen to Alex Albon, and that is the energy.
Who doesn't?
That's what I'm saying.
If
that's
you don't, you're bad vibes. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. That we just need to add that to some sort of test where, like, do you like Alex Albon? No. Oh, here's your report. Bad vibes.
Red flags. If you don't, yeah.
But you know what time it is. The people said it, but now it's your turn, Tasha. What do you got for us with a prediction for tomorrow?
So I think I'm going to agree with Dudstar. I think it's going to stay Verstappen, Norris, Russell, only because I feel like
no, that's not how Dudstar said it.
Well, let me paraphrase how she said it. But I agree. I think like Lando is just going to hold on to that P2 for like dear life, like unless there's some sort of incident. I hope not. I think that like he will maintain that P2. I think George will fight with Lando as well, but still end up on the podium. He's a hungry guy. Like, I just feel like if he's can sniff at a podium, he's going to do his best to get there.
Yeah.
I would definitely also love to see Lewis Hamilton make up places. I do think tomorrow is predicted to be a dry race. So, hopefully we won't get too much weather changes, but who knows, that could be the case. I do still feel like we're going to see a lot of like potential flags, like red flags or like safety car. Yeah. So I do predict that. And therefore I feel like, people who are kind of in the back who need some strategy help could benefit from those things.
Not Ferrari though.
Not you, not Ferrari.
Let's be realistic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of Perez. I do think will probably charge his way up, potentially get a podium. I mean, I do give him that much credit. Like he at least, if he's within some amount of spaces to get a podium, he'll be up there. But I think it would be between him, Norris, or George to round out with Max. So, yeah. What about you? What are your predictions?
Not enough delusion in yours.
We said last time we weren't going to be delusional because last time we all went 1 for 3.
You're right. I won't say
and Max was the free space. So really, we got
free
no.
Space, don't call it that. We still said it. It still happened.
Yeah.
The fact that it's happened like 99% of the time.
Right. So we're picking up on the vibes.
Win.
Yeah.
Verstappen's going to win.
We're going to hear the Dutch national anthem twice, guys, tomorrow. God.
Beginning and end.
Twice.
Oh my God. Bookending that anthem. Great.
Put that shit on repeat.
Max is going to win. I think Lando's going to lose a spot and get third.
Ooh.
And I think that, you know what? Let's be crazy here. Max, Lando, and I'm going to kind of cheat, but either George Russell stays or Alonso takes it.
Oh, yeah, I can see that too. He's up there. He's what?
He's
5?
in fifth. I think fifth is you're in it. You're in the fight.
Yeah. The start will be interesting. I think that's kind of where we're going to see some shenanigans pop off. I'm not going to lie. I think that might determine also the ending. But I agree. Like Alonso's in the mix. I just feel like I didn't get a good impression from like practice and quality, like how these cars are going to run for race. So I guess I feel a little bit like in the dark somewhat. Like. Does Aston have something up their sleeve for this weekend that we kind of don't know yet? Like, who knows? I don't know. So, yeah.
Let me ask you this then. Because that's a great point. I really am in, because I'm interested in like, this is the first race that we're going to have since the break.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Albon,
Mm-hmm.
just because he's in a Williams, will end in the top 10? I think Logan Sargent will hold a 10th. Will Albon end in the top 10?
I think so. I think so. I think if there's like a tire, I think they're gonna comb through the strategy possibilities, and I do believe that they'll come up with some. I mean, like we said in our award show, like he won. He won for Tire Whisperer. He went 59 laps on hards or whatever. So it's just sort of like, I guess if they can find that right window for him to be in where he can stay out pretty long and then try to like recover places later on with the good pit stop, like I think that that's what they're going to go for. I see strategy being the factor here for him, and he's a great defensive driver also. I mean, we've seen many times where he's in a position where like he's held on for dear life, a position. So I think barring any disaster or any crazy shit or anything that's like out of the norm, I think if we just get a straightforward race and it's, people can just, it's on merit or on pace or whatever, I think he can retain the top 10. What do you think?
100% with you. Okay. I will add nothing because I am like literally.
He's like, I agree.
Riding on the not on the passenger side. Not on the passenger side. We've got that motorcycle that's like the motorcycle in the smaller cart.
You're in the little cart on the side.
You just
with
drove
your little
that shit like perfect.
Yeah.
Exactly. My little Mercedes handkerchief.
Right,
but like the Albon hat, I put it on just for that time. I was comfy. Like you did all the steering. I was
right.
I took some great pictures though. Took some great pictures for the socials. They were great.
And that's what matters. Yeah.
Yes. Somebody's got to do it. Like I said, it'd be weird if you talk to a wall, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for your service. Yeah.
With that, thank you so much if you're still listening. We went a little long after we said, no, this will be a shorter one because we worked so hard. Tasha, you and I need to, I don't know, talk less. I don't know. Nah,
it's not possible. Yeah.
Nah. If you didn't catch during the break, we did put out a silly season summer session episode. That is still completely relevant. The only thing that's happened is Haas signed their 2 drivers. So if you want to check that out for a quick recap on the drivers for 2024, we put out the award show. So if you've already listened to it, or if you haven't, definitely check it out on YouTube. The editing it's just great. It's just great. It is not a podcast. It is an award show episode. So,
Oscar producers, watch out. I'm coming for your jobs. Yeah.
Sheesh. And
can you imagine one year when we actually have like a quick stop award in person and we all have to like...
You mean it... Yeah. It's gonna happen.
We're gonna, and everybody's gonna be there. All the drivers are gonna come and collect their awards. Like... It's gonna be a whole thing. Okay. Red carpet, champagne.
I don't think that Good Reese is gonna come. I don't think Nick. I don't think he was that.
But we were honoring him.
Were we? Okay.
He's like, that honoring must mean 2 things. 2 definitions.
My English must be broken.
Right.
Look, if you're still here and you're not subscribed to the Quick Stop F1 YouTube channel, do that. Like, comment, subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, just drop those 5 stars, download it, share it with everybody. And then, you can find me. I've been Mario. You can find me at Twitter, Threads, Instagram at Mario_APM. And the one, the only Tasha. Where can people find you?
You can find me on all the above mentioned socials at Tasha.
So easy, so good.
What he said,
yeah. Thank you very much to everybody. This has been fun as always. Make sure to catch the Tuesday episode with Nyasha. Hopefully Queen Tandy is there as well to break down the race and what they saw. And then we'll be back for another qualifying breakdown whenever another qualifying happens. Thank you so much. Tasha, take us away.
Yes, as Mario said, thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and we really enjoy having you all with us. And as always, remember, no matter what happens in life, keep it on the black stuff.
Look, mate, if you've got this far, clearly you like what we do. So here's a link to subscribe to the Quick Stop F1 family. Give that a click. And here's another link to some more cool on our channel. Sorry, cool stuff. And remember, no matter what happens, Keep it on the black stuff. Click the stuff. Click the links. Click the links. Click the links. There. They're there.